Hold on. My niece Ashley, who very much posted her videos on social media with some accusations about her family.
This was not the first time of me telling this story. This has been years. It started me telling this story when my sister passed away. So this is like years of me getting to this point, to this layer. I always stand true by what I said. I always stand true by what happened. And I don't know if there was a right or wrong way, the way I handled it. I don't think that there was. And with what I speak with my therapist with, there was no right or wrong way to tell the story. I just had to tell this.
You ever notice how some stories refuse to stay quiet no matter how hard people try to tuck them away? Well, Ashley just dropped a new video and it cracked open a whole new layer of this situation like someone hit a pressure valve. The energy around this one is different, sharper, heavier, and way more revealing than anything she's put out before.
And that is totally okay. I am an example of that. You may not get support from your family, and that is totally fine. You still have the right to use your voice. You still have the right to talk. You still have the right to say how you feel. The world will try to silence you. People will try to silence you, but the world needs your voice and not your silence.
She's calling back to everything she said about her trip to the United States, the sit down with the Braxton family, the moment she thought she'd finally get a real shot at telling her story. But to really understand the mess, we gotta rewind because none of this started with a casual plane ticket or a random invite. Ashley didn't hop on a flight just to sightsee. This entire trip was set up by Tamar Braxton herself. Yes, that Tamar. She covered the flight, set up the schedule, and lined everything up so Ashley could appear on her podcast face-to-face with family, ready to lay everything out.
He found someone else and he married my stepmom. But, it was not a good relationship. He was physically abusive to her.
Okay.
And then she was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive to my sister and I.
That was supposed to be Ashley's moment. The first real chance to speak her truth in front of the people involved. And Ashley showed up with nothing but respect. She was thankful. She made it clear she appreciated Tamar, and she even thanked the whole Braxton family for opening the door for her. She went in with good intentions, no drama, no attitude, just wanting to be heard. But here's where everything twists. The episode never aired. Not a clip, not a preview, nothing. The interview that was supposed to be the main purpose of the trip just vanished like it never existed. And now the big question hanging in the air is simple. Why? Why bring her out there, have her sit down, record the whole thing, just to bury it? What exactly was said in that room that made everyone involved freeze up and lock the footage away?
Thank you to everyone who's been supporting me, who's been commenting, who's been sharing, who's been telling me stories and writing to me and just being so supportive. I appreciate you so much, way more than you know. It got to be a little bit, and that's to be expected for those of you who just think that I'm just chaos for this. And I did want to come back on and just say that I really hope that this prompted you to have a conversation with your own family and that you decided to give your family or your friends or whoever it is a safe space to be able to talk about this in these conversations, because we normally, typically, and I'm talking about from the African American community,
because the timing is just too perfect. Word is, once Ashley's father sent a cease and desist letter, everything came to a dead stop. The episode was shelved, the conversation got buried, and the whole truth slipped right back into the shadows. And honestly, that feels way too convenient. Every time Ashley inches closer to being heard on a real platform, something jumps out to block her. Suddenly there's legal pressure. Suddenly people pull back. Suddenly everything that was promised goes silent. The way that whole conversation just got shut down out of nowhere still feels off. Almost like somebody hit a switch the moment things got too real. And honestly, I'm not convinced that room ever held the kind of honest dialogue Ashley deserved, because there's one detail that keeps circling back in my mind like an alarm that won't stop ringing.
We really decide to sweep these things under the rug, and we have to stop doing that, and we have to have these conversations. We have to talk about these things in these situations. As much as sometimes I feel like it was negative, it was positive in the sense that we actually had these conversations. So that I'm really grateful for. And another thing that I want to say is that telling your story after being silenced is not an easy task. I wish that I could just beautifully talk about the situation and it makes sense and everything, every piece is put together. It's not how it works. When you've been silenced and when you start telling your story.
Even with everything that has come out about Ashley's father, the concerns raised, the warnings whispered, the uncomfortable stories from different branches of the family, they still move around him like a shield. It's wild when you really sit with it because you got multiple voices, multiple angles, and so many signs pointing in the same direction, yet somehow he's the one being wrapped in protection every single time. Picture that for a moment. All these people hinting at the same storm, all these reminders that something wasn't right, and instead of creating space for the truth, the circle closes around him tighter and tighter. It's like there's this silent rule floating in the background. Keep it contained, keep it quiet, keep it in the family, no matter who gets hurt or silenced in the process. But Ashley, she's completely done playing that role. In her new video, she's not speaking from a place of random emotion. She's speaking with intention, clarity, and a whole lot of strength. She brings up something heavy but necessary, the responsibility that mothers, aunts, and the women in a family carry when a young person tries to speak up. She stresses how powerful it is when women choose to actually listen, especially when a child is reaching out for help, even in the smallest ways. And this part matters. Ashley was still growing up when all of this started.
It's like peeling an onion, Sometimes the first time you tell the story, it's messy, pieces aren't together, but you're finally using that part of your voice to start speaking. And then you peel the next layer off and it gets even easier to talk about. So I wanted to showcase that in itself so that whoever is going through what I'm going through, whoever's been silenced, but they're learning to use your voice, you can understand too that it's not a journey that's just an easy journey. It's something that you have to work on and work towards. And the more you tell your story, the better you get to tell the story. I don't even know if I want to get into it all again, just because there's a lot of things that go into deciding to tell your story. When you decide to tell your story, it's going to affect somebody else, and someone else can feel hurt and someone else can feel betrayed. And
she wasn't equipped for the kind of emotional weight she was dealing with. She didn't have the confidence or understanding to challenge adults, and she definitely didn't have a safe, stable space to process what she was feeling. She talks about that openly now, how she never felt secure enough in her own family to speak freely. She explains that she didn't believe anyone would take her seriously, and that's heartbreaking in itself.
It can lead to so many things, but for me, I am so happy. I feel freer. My voice feels easier. My throat feels lighter. I don't know. I just feel like I don't have to carry this anymore because it was never mine to carry in the first place. But I just feel so much lighter. I just feel free, and I'm proud of myself actually for what I've done, because it was not easy. It's not easy to do it, but it's also not easy to do it when your family is who they are with the platforms that they have, and then putting it on the TV show. And I also want to commend my own family for doing that as well, because we are really showing you what is real life. This is real life. Families go through things. It's ups, it's downs. It's not always easy. It's not always
Imagine being young, confused, overwhelmed, and walking around with something heavy on your chest, but the people you're supposed to trust the most make you feel like silence is the only option. Instead of support, she says she was met with that quiet pressure. The kind where you're expected to behave, stay polite, and ignore your own discomfort so the adults don't have to confront anything. For years, she carried that weight by herself, stuck in a space where speaking up felt unsafe, yet holding it in was tearing her apart. She was cornered by silence, pushed into this emotional maze where staying quiet seemed like the only way to survive. That's the kind of isolation that sticks with a person, and hearing her talk about it now shows just how deep those wounds run. And when you look at how everything keeps unfolding today.
And did you have contact with mum, like after mum had gone?
No. Interesting enough, I never had contact with her. She also has 3 kids.
Wow.
So she moved on.
Yeah.
But I would sometimes see her sister and her mom and her dad sometimes.
Yeah.
I had a girl cousin, but it was always up and down. It was always some sort of a roller coaster. But after that, I'd never seen her ever again.
Wow. So was it like...
It makes you wonder what else has been brushed aside, hidden away, or softened to protect the wrong person. Ashley's voice shaking that silence is why this moment feels so powerful. She's finally stepping out of that corner and putting light in places everyone kept covered. When you stop and think about it, the weight Ashley had to carry at such a young age is almost impossible to wrap your head around.
Trajectory to the moon or at an incline of greatness. You have your ups and you have your downs. And so I also appreciate them for even putting it on the show. And as much as a bad rap that it's getting, I really hope, and I've seen it, that we're having these conversations about this topic. It's so important. This was not the first time of me telling this story. This has been years. It started me telling this story when my sister passed away. So this is like years of me getting to this point, to this layer. I always stand true by what I said. I always stand true by what happened. And
growing up while trying to understand yourself is already tough, but doing that while holding painful memories you can't escape, that kind of pressure hits deep and leaves marks that don't fade easily. But here's what sets Ashley apart. She isn't speaking up just to free herself anymore. She's pushing her voice out there for anyone who feels locked inside their own pain, anyone who's been sitting on secrets because they're scared of what might happen if they finally speak.
You sort of like, I know she's out there and it kind of through the grapevine, you might hear something like, oh, she's out there doing this, that, and the other, but she's just not reaching out to you.
No, not reaching out at all. And no one talked about it either.
Okay.
And she had asked her family, like her mom, her dad, her family, not to talk about us. So we did not exist.
Wow.
Yeah. And so with my stepmom, it was a really interesting live because for me, I was super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting a new mom, and she put her name on our papers and things that.
Okay.
And so there was moments that were great, and I have 2 half brothers, so love them. Everything is awesome, but
she's aiming her message at people who've been hurting quietly, believing their truth will cause chaos, so they keep swallowing it day after day. Ashley's message is bold and powerful. Let it out. Don't let your story trap you. Claim your voice, claim your strength, claim your freedom. And honestly, I stand with that completely, because when something heavy controls your mind, your choices, and your sense of worth, speaking it out loud can feel like breaking chains you've worn for years. It might shake your world, it might upset people, but that truth belongs to you, and nobody gets to muzzle you into silence. Sure, stepping forward won't feel comfortable. Some folks might doubt you, some might distance themselves, and some might act like they never saw the signs right in front of them. But even then, your truth stays real, and your voice deserves space. Courage doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it's just choosing to open your mouth after years of being told not to.
I don't know if there was a right or wrong way, the way I handled it. I don't think that there was. And with what I speak with my therapist with, there was no right or wrong way to tell the story. I just had to tell the story. And I knew that I was going to get repercussions, and I knew that I was going to get backlash, and I knew that I wasn't always going to be supported, but it wasn't about anybody else. It was all about me. And now there's this part of me that's just prepare my body for kids, that I just get to pass on a legacy to my kids where I'm not holding on to that anymore. It's not inside of me. It doesn't live within me. And I always want my kids to have something better than what I had. Truly, I've forgiven everybody in this situation. It's something that for me is...
And this brings me to the part that really hits a nerve: the confusion around Toni Braxton's recent response. Because Ashley didn't just pop up last month with a brand new story or some sudden dramatic reveal. That idea doesn't even make sense when you look at the timeline. Ashley has been talking about this for years, openly, consistently, and without changing her story. She's shared her experiences across time with the same clarity, the same details, the same emotional truth, and she's never backed away from it. This isn't a case of someone trying to shock the world for attention. This is someone who has been trying to be heard for a very, very long time. So when Tony reacts like this is something fresh or unexpected, it leaves a lot of people scratching their heads because Ashley didn't just start speaking now. She's been standing in her truth even when it cost her peace, even when it meant pushing against the silence her own family tried to keep in place.
In the past, I believe that a lot of people were heard. I'm not the only victim in this situation, but I just really hope that if you're a mom, if you're an aunt, if you're a woman, that you can make the choice to just listen to the other person or the child actually in this situation, because it was a child, that you're able to sit with the child, give them a safe space to talk, listen to them.
Her voice didn't appear out of nowhere. It's been echoing for years, just waiting for people to finally listen. So when Tamar Braxton steps forward acting stunned, acting like Ashley's story is suddenly coming out of thin air, it raises a real eyebrow. She's out here responding as if she's hearing all this for the first time, publicly questioning whether Ashley's even telling the truth, and that reaction doesn't line up with the history that's been out there for years. Because how do you claim you never knew? How do you sit in that spotlight and pretend this is brand new information when Ashley has been speaking on the same events with the same details for so long? At some point, it stops looking like confusion and starts looking like a choice. A decision not to hear it back then, just like the decision not to acknowledge it now. And that leads us straight to the real core of this situation. The ugly, uncomfortable part families try to keep hidden. Who gets believed, who gets dismissed, who gets protected, and who gets sacrificed to keep everything looking clean on the outside. That's where this whole thing hits the hardest because Ashley wasn't asking for a dramatic spectacle or some flashy public moment.
How do you deal with physical, mental, emotional abuse? I would tell my dad, hey, I'm being abused. And not, like I wet the bed and I had to lick it up. Or maybe I was slapped so hard down the stairs, or maybe I was punched in my face, or maybe she held my ear and decided to scream in it for the next 2 minutes. I mean, it kind of was up and down.
Right.
And if I told my dad, then he would come home. He's a nurse.
Right.
So he worked the day shift. He would come home, and at night it was so traumatic to listen to them physically beating each other in the next room. So what do you do? Do you tell and risk
and make a judgment of how to handle the situation that gives the child safety? I didn't have safety within my family or within my home. I didn't have I wasn't safe. I was not safe. I don't ever want another woman to feel like that, especially if you're a kid and something happened to you that you didn't ask for and you've just had to deal with it. And I think that anybody who has been silenced, who has had something happen to them, I just hope that my story shows you that it's not always easy. But I still hope.
Ashley's request has always been simple. She just wants to be listened to. She wants her words treated with respect, not brushed off like she's stirring chaos for attention. She wants the truth of her experience recognized instead of twisted, questioned, or watered down to protect someone else's reputation. And here's the part that can't be ignored. She was young when this started. She went through something deeply painful, and instead of being wrapped in protection and care, she was pushed into silence. Being told to stay quiet at a time when she needed support leaves scars that don't just fade because she's grown up now, but as an adult, she's finally stepping out of that silence. Not because she wants revenge, not because she's chasing fame, but because holding everything in was eating her alive. She's reclaiming her voice piece by piece, choosing healing over hiding and showing strength that a lot of people would struggle to find in her situation. So now the question becomes, are the Braxtons ready to face the truth sitting right in front of them, or are they going to keep pretending they never heard a word she said? Because Ashley isn't backing down anymore, and her story won't disappear just because it makes some people uncomfortable. So now the real question hangs heavy in the air. Are they finally ready to stop shielding the person who caused her pain and start standing up for her instead? That decision is theirs to make. And sooner or later, they're going to have to live with whatever choice they land on. But Ashley, she already stepped into her truth with full courage, and she's not turning back. She's told her story, she's opened the doors everyone kept trying to lock, and now the whole world is standing right there watching what happens next. Whether the family steps up or stays silent, Ashley has already done the brave part. She spoke out when staying quiet was crushing her spirit, and she refused to keep carrying a weight that never belonged to her in the first place. And before we wrap this up, I want to thank everyone who's been following this situation with compassion, patience, and an open mind. These conversations aren't easy, but they matter. And voices like Ashley's remind us why telling the truth can change everything. If you're tuned in right now, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because this story is far from over. And when this video ends, go check out the next one popping up on your screen. There's even more celebrity drama waiting for you, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. See you on the next one.